guys, Deb Acker here, back with another video. And the title of today's video is what to do when you're scared to speak your truth. So first and foremost, if you have found yourself to this channel, right, and you are struggling in your relationships, right? Maybe you're not saying what you need to say. Maybe you're not owning your truth. Maybe you feel like you can't be your true self in relationships, or maybe even that you're contracting yourself. I want you to know you are in the right place. I'm an intuitive relationship healer, and I work mainly with women to help them with those sort of things and really to help them to heal their relationships, first and foremost with ourselves, and then to see the ripple effect of that as we work and heal other relationships, but also as this rolls out into the world, right? The stronger you have a relationship with yourself, the stronger this will be in your world. So what do we do when we find ourselves really scared to speak our truth? Okay. And one of the things, so like when I've been on this journey really to learn, how do I be true to myself, right? How do I be my true self in relationships? And then how do I be true to myself in relationships, right? And one of the things I had to start to get comfortable with was to maybe have, a different opinion than somebody else, right? And maybe, or, that like I actually would have to say, like, this is really my truth and it's not what you're saying, right? And one of the things that I would always notice is I would be really scared to have an opinion that was different from everybody else, right? Because subconsciously what I had made up from my childhood was that people leave if I have an opinion different, right? So first and foremost, notice if there's a version of that exists within you, right? If there's a version of that that's true for you, right? And then from there, one of the things that I did, I wrote about the story in my book, and I freaking love this story. It's a great story. So I started to practice this, right? And what I'd first do is I'd realize, okay, I'd be in a moment and I realized I would shut down, right? Because that was my old patterning, is I shut down, I wouldn't speak my truth. And then I'd regret it later, right? And so what I would do when I would get home is I would see that person in front of me, and whatever my truth was that I wish I had expressed, I'd start to practice and say that out loud to them, right? So, it's like, oh, wait, no, I don't actually feel that way. Or, you know what, this is actually what I feel, right? And I started to rewire and shift this in my body, shift this in my being, right? And at some point, what started to happen as a result of this is in real time, I would be able to communicate what was really true for me. Now, I'm always all about, like, you have to determine what conversations you want to have, what conversations you don't want to have. It's not that you want to, not every person is someone you want to share your full truth with, right? So, you got to determine what that really is all about, and if what you want to do and who you want to communicate this with. But for the people that you do want to communicate this with, starting to practice that is so super important. And the story that I mentioned briefly, that I'll share briefly, that I mentioned in my book, is really like I was on a date and I determined that date I was going to speak my truth. Like, no matter what, I was going to let my freak flag fly, so to speak, right? And I did. I practiced it, right? I just said the things that I would normally edit out, or the things that I normally wouldn't say because I'd want to fit in or wanted to be like them, right? I said, whatever, my woo self, like all the parts of myself, and some of the parts, that at that point I maybe didn't think were as lovable, right? And so I shared all of those, and it was such an empowering experience. Now, we didn't go on a second date. I didn't even have a desire to go on a second date, but what was awesome about it is I felt at the end of that date, which is really the goal for every interaction, right, is how much I really loved myself, right? How much I had my own back, how much I really loved myself, and just how awesome I thought I was. And that's a huge part of obviously attracting and beginning to attract a partner that also feels the same. So if you are wanting to dive deeper into this, if you are struggling in your relationships, if you've had a series of painful relationships, or maybe you found yourself in a long-term painful relationships, I work with people who are single, I work with people who are partnered and married, and to really create really solid relationships, again, first and foremost with ourselves and then with our partners. But if you're wanting to dive deeper into this material and you found yourself struggling in relationships and you found that you can't be your true self in relationships, I would love to see you at my complimentary Putting an End to Painful Relationships Masterclass. You're going to find details for this below, but make sure that you sign up for that, and then I'll look forward to seeing you again on my next video in this channel.